This is Balatro, a game made by a single developer who never once thought it would sell, let alone wanted it to. This game started as a passion project, purely for fun, because the game's developer, LocalThunk, loves making games. He's created plenty of games before, and yet this was his very first to be seen by the public. He never made this game for the money, for the attention, for anything but him and his friends to enjoy. But how could that be? This game got nominated for Game of the Year, it has sold millions, broken several records, and even got many ports to consoles and mobile. Well, passion, love, and time is all you need to create a good game. LocalThunk had experience, which helped a ton, but it was his passion for coding that led this game to become the world's next Tetris. 1 year later, let's look back on the masterpiece that is Balatro. Hi everyone, I'm Melody. If you're new to the channel, I usually create Honkai Star Rail content, but I've always labeled myself as a variety channel. I simply love too many things, and this girl needs a yap sometimes. And today, I wanted to look back on Balatro a year after its release and just kinda gush about it. These are my Steam playtime hours. Rookie hours to some, I'm sure, but for this game not being a Fire Emblem, these hours are quite high for me. I've completed quite a lot of content in this game, and yet I still feel like I've barely scratched the surface. It can't be understated how much content this game holds. For only $15 on Steam, you can get a game that will consume your entire free time while also never getting old. If I had my own recommendation, I personally enjoy playing this game on the Steam Deck. I tend to play it in bed while I have a YouTube video on the TV. It's very comforting and a good way to get your brain to ease its way into being sleepy. But for anyone who is unfamiliar, Balatro is best described as a poker roguelike. You pick a deck, pick a difficulty, and immediately hop right in. From there, you can start your first round, or you can skip to receive a bonus tag. The gameplay is simple, yet intuitive in every way. Everyone knows poker, right? Well, if you somehow never played Luigi poker as a kid, here's all you need to know. You start off with 5 cards in normal poker. You can choose to discard some, or all of your cards to draw more. Your goal is to build the best possible hand you can from this selection. So let's say I have 3 cards of the same suit. I have the choice now to discard cards and try to get them all to match that suit, which would give me a flush. In actual poker, you want to beat the hand of the house and other players. But in Balatro, your opponent is the score requirement. Each hand, by default, counts for a different amount of chips and multi that they give you. In the early game, if I were to get a flush now, the score requirement would be right in my sight. But a high card hand would likely not get me anywhere. In Balatro, your starting hand is 8 cards. This way things like straights or flushes are far more common to get, whereas in normal poker, with a 52 card deck, it's actually quite risky to rely on them. Here, I have 3 spades. I'm gonna try and discard and see if I get something out of it. That may have felt risky to do, and it is, but because so many of the cards I kept discarding weren't spades, I knew spades had to come sooner than later. There is of course luck involved, but the intention is for you to work around the odds. You can look at your full deck anytime to see what cards have yet to be played. Now, let's win this. I see opportunity for a straight here, so let's try for it. Look at that! Got it! And there you go. That is Balatro in a nutshell. At least for the early game. You see, once you beat your first blind, or get past the first ante, that is when the game opens up and shows you what it's actually about. Each successful blind, the shop opens up. Here, you'll find various things, such as vouchers which can give you an extra hand to use, an extra discard, discounts, or increased odds of certain card types appearing. Or booster packs, which can hold tarot cards that can modify your deck, planet cards that can increase the level of your poker hands, spectral cards which are often risk for a reward, and joker cards which are what make up the entire game's foundation. Originally, this game was going to be named Joker Poker, but it was renamed due to a game already claiming it. Jokers are able to do many things. The fanbase has categorized jokers in 7 categories. Chips jokers, jokers that increase your chip count, usually requiring some sort of prerequisite such as a 3 of a kind. Additive mult jokers, which increase your multiplier. If your hand was originally going to do 50 times 3, and you got a 20 mult added to that, now it'll be 50 times 23, a way bigger number. Multiplicative mult jokers, often the most powerful jokers. They don't add mult, but multiply it. So if you had 20 mult with a times 3 joker, it will now be 60 mult. This is how you can get your numbers to reach the millions and beyond. It's just them combined into one joker, but often are rare. Effect jokers, which are jokers that may destroy or add cards to your deck, provide more hand plays or discards, or even alter how certain cards are considered as by other jokers or bosses. Re-trigger jokers are jokers that can repeat cards already played or in hand effects such as steel or gold cards. And lastly, economy jokers are jokers that provide you money in some way, whether by meeting a condition or by simply having it in your joker slots. Now, you can only have 5 joker slots for most decks by default, unless you increase the slot count via negative jokers or vouchers. So the main bulk of the gameplay in Balatro is strategy. You are always adapting to what cards you're given and what you can build with them. As long as you can reach it to anti-8 and beat the final boss, you win. You'll often sell and get rid of many jokers, constantly trying to optimize your deck. This game heavily encourages you to constantly try new builds and ideas. You can't win the game doing the same build each and every time, and that's the fun of it. This game isn't complicated at all. Each joker was specifically designed by LocalThunk to be simple and straight to the point. You won't ever encounter Fire Emblem Heroes weapon descriptions here. But despite the lack of complexity, you are always using your brain and learning. Jokers are unlocked as you play the game, usually needing you to do some kind of fun thing in a run. They force you to do things you likely otherwise wouldn't, which is awesome. The last thing I really have to mention are the bosses. Every ante ends with some boss, and their gimmick is that they may debuff a certain type of card or leave you with no discards or force you to keep switching poker hands between plays. You can see the boss you'll be facing at the beginning of every ante, so you'll always have time to prepare for it. Sometimes you may have to change your whole build on the fly to not be hard countered by a boss that disables exactly what you're trying to do. And that's really it. That's Balatro. So, what's the hype about? What makes this so appealing, so fun? Well, it's immersive. It knows what it wants to do and does it perfectly. That may seem like a funny statement for a card game, but look at this. All jokers have a consistency through their art. The music is never repetitive despite only being the same theme that slightly changes for certain situations, and it fits the feeling that the PS1 CRT style graphics give. This game is timeless, and people who play it may have no idea how easy it would be to tip it over the edge. It could have way more mechanics, way more complicated jokers, way more complicated objectives, but that's not Balatro anymore, now is it? Balatro is something anyone can understand. Anyone can pick up and play at any time, no matter where they are or how their life is going. It's a game that can relax you, comfort you, even work out your brain daily. And all of that is exactly what Tetris was back on the Game Boy. Balatro is without a doubt modern Tetris. And many people agree. No ordinary person recreates Tetris. This game will be played for decades. This game will be played by old and new. And this game will never be forgotten. The best part now? Balatro is still being updated. For me, I've always loved poker even since I was a kid. Card games in general have always fascinated me. This game is barely poker, if I'm honest, but that's okay. I consistently have fun trying something new and doing my best to beat the hardest difficulties. But most of all for me, it's just so nice to be able to pick up and play a game for however long without constant pressure to give in to microtransactions. This game doesn't feel like it's designed to give me as much dopamine as possible in a short period of time, and that's such a rarity in today's modern world. I feel like I can escape and go back to a time where everything was new, innovative, and fun without capitalism shoving its way down our throats with every little feature needing a profit in some form. Someone here made a game for fun, and it shows. This is what games were always meant to be. You buy it, you play it, you smile. No DLC, no loot boxes, no gacha, no endless grinding, no constant begging the devs to do better even though you know damn well they make billions and have every opportunity to do better, but actively choose their profit over the player. Isn't it so free? Don't you feel like you can breathe? I will say, yes, this is far from the only game that's like this on the indie market, and this is exactly why you should support your local indie devs and settle down a little bit on your typical AAA devs. But Balatro's arcade-like approach to game design makes this feel even stronger. It makes me think that every mobile game should have been like this. Hell, they were! They used to be, at one point. And then the in-app purchases came, and nothing has been the same since. Now look at it. Every game is often slop that uses false advertising to get you to download and manipulate you as soon as possible. People, companies, they no longer try to give you quality, and everyone lets them get away with it. Money keeps going up, misery keeps going up with it. Balatro should set an example, not just for mobile games, but for all game devs looking to create something that people will love and enjoy. Is it fun? Is it able to be played regardless of session length? Is it easy to get into? Does it add stress to the player? Is it consistent with what it wants to provide with its experience? I could go on. Balatro proves games just being fun is all you need. You don't need fancy graphics, you don't need mechanic on top of mechanic, and you sure as hell don't need to structure your game around dopamine manipulation. Make your game feel good to play. Make your game stand out, have a clear focus, have a clear idea, and go with it. You don't have to copy everything else. You don't have to somehow split up all content to drip feed players into buying DLC after DLC. This is what I hope for in the gaming industry. At this current time, the gaming industry has been a mess. It's been really, really bad. Layoffs left and right, creativity often thrown out the window. But with enough love and support, with our voices loud about a game like Balatro, companies will see. They'll recognize eventually how harmful the current structure has been, even if games won't likely be $60 again. In the future, we may see a surge in games that come in full, complete, and stable states right from day one again. Balatro inspires me heavily, and I hope it inspires other indie devs too. This is your chance to let your passions shine. Make a game you love, not what you think others will love. I plan to create a game of my own one day, and I'll be taking all of my notes from this. So, thank you, Balatro. I wanted to create this video only because I love this game so much. I never thought something so simple would be so powerful to me. And that can happen when you associate addictive fun with all of what I've described. I'm sure most of us feel that way. If you are interested to learn about the development of Balatro from the creator himself, I would heavily recommend checking out the link videos I have in the description. I loved listening to them. If you enjoyed this video at all, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. It would mean the world to me. And with that, I bid you adieu, my notes.
Or else you will die!